A dyslexic baker, bullied by colleagues and forced to clean, unexpectedly discovers a hidden talent that amazes and silences everyone. But when disaster strikes the bakery, her hidden talent emerges, causing a shift in the balance of power. Will her new success lead to acceptance or to something even more astonishing? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unveiled Stories. Today, I am excited to share a new story with you. Let's begin. The bakery was not just a place where everything went wrong. It was a place where Sarah failed every day. Each new day brought a fresh kind of failure. Flour stuck to her like a stubborn stain. The smell of sugar promised sweetness. But there was no joy for her. She was not a baker. She was a cleaner, the one who came after the fun part to clean everything up. Her job was to put away the tools and erase the evidence of her own uselessness. Every morning she watched the decorators, envy twisting her stomach. Their hands were confident and fast. They never made mistakes, unlike her. She could do the same, but only in her mind. Recipes got mixed up, numbers didn't stay in place, letters floated together, and hands wanted to create. Mr. Thompson, the owner, was a big man with a loud voice. He didn't shout, but his frowning look said more than words. That look grew sterner when Sarah broke something or mixed up ingredients. He saw the mess, but didn't understand the reasons. Then there was Evelyn, the best decorator, quick and strict. Every perfect cake of hers reminded of Sarah's failures. "How did you even get this job?" hissed Evelyn when Sarah made a mistake. Her attempts to decorate the cake looked like weeds next to Evelyn's perfect flowers. Tuesday started as usual. Sticky floor, rushing bakers, and clocks counting down the minutes to Sarah's next mistake. This time, there was no disaster, only a broken bottle of vanilla. It was another opportunity for Evelyn to laugh at her. Then came the moment with the wedding cake. Multi-tiered, reaching the ceiling, decorated with creamy roses as if from a recipe book. And then the crash happened. The cream spilled everywhere, the bride cried, and Mr. Thompson screamed. And for the first time, Sarah did not flinch because watching the decorators all these months, something had settled in her soul like sugar under the nails. These were not recipes or neat rows of numbers. They were shapes, swirls, the way icing could imitate nature in the hands of a skilled person. Then, an idea was born. Bad, but the only one. Instead of cleaning up the mess, Sarah grabbed the piping bag. It was a risk, a huge risk, but for once, her hands could do what her eyes could not. Sarah's heart beat faster than the drum of the large mixer. If it didn't work out, there would be no if, only the sharp edge of despair and a bag with her only hope. With a deep, trembling breath, Sarah began. Her hand moved without thought. No recipe, no instructions, only the feeling of many years washing cakes and cleaning molds. All the years of observing the blending of colors seemed to flow through her fingers. The lines were imperfect, trembling with nerves, but they were there. Now she was not cleaning, but creating. The sweet smell of vanilla gradually faded, giving way to a new, lively aroma of her creativity. Time seemed blurred as she worked in the bakery, and everything around slowly disappeared. When the piping bag finally emptied, she blinked, surprised by the crowd of spectators. Evelyn, with her mouth open, was the most astonishing sight. Whispers began to spread. Did he do it? Sarah couldn't make out the words. Her pulse was pounding too loudly. Suddenly, Mr. Thompson's voice, heavy and distinct, cut through the chaos. I never would have thought... He didn't finish the sentence, but his gaze was a verdict. Sarah felt no fear. This time, it wasn't disappointment, but something sharper and more calculating. Evelyn suddenly snorted mockingly. A lucky chance. Can't even repeat the recipe. Mr. Thompson's look silenced Evelyn. The quiet victory was not over her, but in how Sarah's own hands tingled, not from cleaning agents, but from the magic she had just created. The next few days flew by like a whirlwind. Mr. Thompson changed the order. Written instructions disappeared, replaced by pictures, and the tasks changed. There were no more reading of orders, only organizing trays by color. Every change seemed strangely familiar, as if someone new truly understood how her brain worked. No one ever thought Evelyn would simplify the situation. Her sarcastic remarks turned into quiet curses as she watched Sarah doing what used to be her territory. Mr. Thompson watched them both, his face as inscrutable as a recipe in a language Sarah didn't understand. Suddenly, a cake contest with a grand prize was announced. The grand prize was a publication in a fashion magazine. Sarah's nerves twisted in her stomach. Dyslexia wouldn't disappear, but the memory of those minutes when Mr. Thompson looked at her without pity would remain. On the eve of the contest, Sarah carefully watched Evelyn precisely measuring ingredients for an incredibly delicate dough made of sugar and flour. Then, with a sly smile, she added too much baking soda. It was at that very moment that Mr. Thompson entered. His gaze was cold, as if he were looking at a cockroach rather than a star baker. For the first time, Sarah felt pity for Evelyn. It turned out that Mr. Thompson was playing a long game, where kindness was a hidden card. And perhaps, more than the cake, Sarah finally tasted victory. Sarah couldn't sleep. Her mind was too busy baking. She felt that she had finally won, and that feeling was much stronger than all doubts. The imaginary cakes in the contest didn't look much different from a regular bakery, but the brighter light and the tense energy of strangers created a sense of another world. Evelyn was literally electrified by the tension. Her sugar flowers stood in a row like little soldiers, and Mr. Thompson paced back and forth as if in a cage. Sometimes Mr. Thompson shouted instructions, but none of them were addressed to Sarah, which caused both relief and a strange pain. The whistle blew, and chaos began. Sarah decided to ignore the commotion around her. No recipes, only her visual memory and the heart beating in her chest. Her workstation resembled an artist's palette, colors scattered in small bowls, sponge cake layers arranged in simple shapes without excess. There was no room for intricate patterns when words couldn't be trusted, but there were bold swirls, unexpected textures, and a pinch of ingredients like a starry sky. The judges walked by with tablets, taking notes. Sarah couldn't imagine what Evelyn was thinking, who cast angry glances at her. But Sarah discovered a strange focus she had never experienced before. It was not the passion she had during the vanilla disaster fix. This focus was calmer, stronger, born from silence and inner peace, not from fire and panic. Mrs. Thompson, with her rough manner, gave her something more than any prize that day. The final bell rang, and her cake was far from the most beautiful. The judges gathered together, their faces showing not criticism, but rather curiosity. A wave of anticipation swept through the crowd as the contest winners were announced. Third place went to a tall chocolate-sculpted cake, second to a miniature landscape with cotton candy trees. Sarah took a deep breath, not expecting to hear her name. Then they announced the first place. Not Evelyn. A sigh rose from the crowd as the judges pointed to her. The heart beat faster. Words burst out. For unexpected art and unique vision. Sarah's face flushed as she stood on the tiny podium with a certificate in her hands and a strange feeling of possibility in her chest. The subsequent events blurred into a haze. Reporters asked questions, hands stuck from oily cream, and she tried to explain her success. Other bakers congratulated her with sincerity and envy at the same time. Evelyn was nowhere to be seen, and Sarah gathered her tools. The slight pain disappeared, giving way to a feeling of potential. A sweetness she had never dared to allow herself before. The bakery air was filled with a special tension. Evelyn blushed, her perfect hairstyle wilting under the cold light of the lamps. The other bakers watched Sarah cautiously. No one understood how the balance of power had changed, except Mr. Thompson. His stern face remained just as mysterious. The changes were slow but undeniable. Instructions were now given using pictures and words, allowing Sarah to create without mistakes according to the recipes. The other bakers were initially wary, but then saw value in her. Sarah made the cakes even better. Even Evelyn, gloomy and offended, could not deny her skill. The barbs turned into veiled compliments, which was a victory for Sarah. One day, a worn notebook appeared on Sarah's cart. Inside were recipes with drawings, flowers in cup molds, temperatures marked with colors on the thermometer. Sarah had a lump in her throat. She realized who had left the notebook. Mr. Thompson was passing by, avoiding eye contact, and muttered, "I thought this might come in handy." Sarah was beaming with happiness. The bakery was still a challenge, but now it was a challenge she could accept and overcome. A challenge appeared as an opportunity. Sometimes the world needs things to be a little different, and maybe that is okay. Maybe even a good thing in itself. The mess was still part of the picture, but now so was the magic. Even better was the chance to share some of that magic with others. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon after the morning rush when Sarah noticed a girl, around 8 years old, tracing swirls on a cupcake in the display case. The girl's eyes flicked strangely over the prices, a frown replacing her smile. Sarah gently asked if something was wrong with the numbers. The girl jumped, then shrugged, muttering, "Guess I can't read so good." Sarah felt an old ache twist inside her, but a new strength began to bloom. "Reading is overrated when it comes to cake," Sarah said. "Tell me what you like, colors, sprinkles." They spent the next 10 minutes exploring frosting swatches. They used a spoonful of rainbow jimmies. The girl stuck her tongue out in concentration, just like Sarah used to when she struggled with words. By the time the girl beamed with joy, her frown had disappeared, replaced by the magic of shared moments and cupcakes. Mom paid with a grateful smile in which something had strengthened inside. Maybe winning the contest was surprising, but this feeling was even more important. Mr. Thompson approached them with his usual frown, but his gaze lingered on the little girl with the cupcake, then flickered towards Sarah. Without a word, he turned and disappeared into his office. He remained a mystery, but Sarah began to gradually unravel it. Share one word in the comments about how this story touched you. While you're here, watch the video on the screen. See you next time. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to having you back with new stories and emotions.